This story begins in 18th century Australia. We see trying to comfort a crying child. Suddenly, someone calls out and she walks away. Then a woman who had been watching from a distance steps forward and picks up the child in her arms. The child slowly calms down, and the woman takes a rosary from around her neck and puts it around the child's neck. She then carries the child to a waterfall. Out of nowhere, something happens. Without any reason, she throws the child down the waterfall. It's a shocking moment. After doing this, she goes straight to the church. There she confesses her crime, saying she has made a terrible mistake. Soon after, we hear that the woman was punished for what she did, with a brutal death. Her body is later found in the forest, tied to a chair and lying down, with her head locked inside a cage. Then a mysterious man arrives, cuts off the woman's finger, and wraps it in a cloth. Next, we are introduced to the main character of the story, a girl named Agnes. Agnes is a poor farmer who lives with her brother and mother. She's 17 years old and today is her wedding day, so she looks very happy. Agnes, along with her brother and mother, are traveling to another village with their belongings loaded on a freight train. It's all for her future husband. When they arrive at the house, they find that wedding preparations are already underway. The man Agnes is about to marry is named Wolf. The villagers joyfully lift Agnes into the air, and she is filled with happiness. Now Wolf's mother puts an apron on Agnes and then hands her a childlike doll. Seeing this, everyone, including Agnes, looks very happy. Actually, this was their way of teaching her that after marriage, she should become a good wife, that she'll be able to manage all the household work. Along with that, she'll also have another responsibility of becoming a mother and raising a child. Anyway, the two get married, and while everyone is celebrating and dancing, Wolf tells Agnes, "Come with me. I want to show you something special." He wanted to surprise her. He blindfolds her and brings her to a new house. Surprised, Agnes says, "But I thought I'd be living with your mother." Wolf replies, "My brother is going to get that house. That's why I bought this one with my savings and a loan." Agnes gets really worried when she hears this. She immediately says, "You took a loan? But why? And how are you going to repay it?" Wolf smiles and says, "Don't worry. That's my responsibility. Everything will be fine." Meanwhile, day has turned to evening. The villagers are still dancing, completely drunk after having too much alcohol. Agnes notices that Wolf is also totally drunk, talking with one of his friends. After some time, Agus's family decides to leave. Her brother gives her a gift wrapped in cloth. When she opens it, she finds the severed finger of the woman who is going to be executed in front of everyone. Her brother says, "This is like a lucky charm for you. You're going to live a happy life with your husband, and very soon you'll also get the good news of becoming a mother." Hearing this, Agnes becomes overjoyed, and she and her brother hug each other tightly. They say they'll miss each other a lot. Later, when Agnes arrives at her new home, she kisses the same finger and places it under her bed, as if to bring herself good luck. After that, she begins praying to God, asking to be a good wife and to bless her with children soon. After some time, Wolf comes home drunk. Wanting to be a good wife, Agnes thinks of going to him and spending some quality time. But instead, he yells at her, tells her to go to sleep, and passes out himself. The next morning, when Agnes wakes up, she notices Wolf is not in bed. She searches the entire house and even the stables, but he's nowhere to be found. So Agnes gets ready and heads into the forest. After wandering for a while, she notices strange markings on a piece of paper stuck to a tree. The markings belong to the same woman who had abandoned her child after falling ill, and who had now died. Seeing this made Agnes feel awful. As she walked further, she came across the woman's dead body, still tied to a chair, her head cut off and placed beside her, all locked inside a cage. The sight made Agnes's heart sink, but not far ahead, she found Wolf, peacefully fishing in the pond with his mother and some villagers. Wolf's mother called out to her, "Come on, girl, start working." Agnes was eager to help. She tried to work, but since she had never done such chores before, it was really difficult for her. Just then, the church bells began to ring. Hearing them, Agnes knelt down and began praying. Seeing this, Wolf's mother got irritated. She snapped, "That's enough praying. Are you going to finish all your prayers today itself? That's more than enough. Get to work." By the afternoon, Agnes and Wolf's mother were distributing bread to the workers. Each person was given just one piece. A man asked for 2 pieces, saying he's really hungry. Agnes feels sorry for him and gives him 2 pieces of bread. But seeing this, Wolf's mother takes one back and says, "Get out of here. Be patient and eat whatever you've been given." Agnes is surprised by this and feels bad too. Wolf was showing Agnes the way home through the pond. He also tells her, from now on, to wear clothes that match the kind of work you're doing. When they get home, Agnes gets busy with other tasks. Later in the evening, she kisses her cut finger again and places it under the bed, hoping that her husband will love her and they'll have a child soon. But that night too, he pushes her away. This breaks Agnes's heart. She walks out into the dark and starts crying. The next morning, Agnes goes to church, and while looking at a statue of Jesus holding a child, she prays to God to bless her with one. Later, Agnes and Wolf's mother go to the pond to wash clothes. While there, a pregnant woman, who also worked at Wolf's house, shows up. She quickly becomes friendly with Agnes. They both go into the forest to rest but end up falling asleep there. When Agnes wakes up, she realizes she's been asleep for a long time. The woman had already left, so Agnes quickly gets up and heads home. When she arrives, she sees Wolf's mother cooking and asks, "Can I help you?" But Wolf's mother angrily refuses and asks where she had been all this time. Agnes replies that she had gone to church. Wolf's mother mocks her and says, "Pray all you want, but God never supports a woman who doesn't care for her husband or cook for him on time." 05 06 16. She also says, "That plant you've kept is terrible. It's dirty, and it makes the whole house look messy. You should just throw it out." Agnes feels deeply hurt by how they treat her. She asks Wolf, "Is your mom going to come over every day?" He replies, "I don't know." Then Agnes asks, "Does she hate me?" Wolf explains, "It's not like that. My mother is just strict, and anger runs in our family." That night too, Wolf goes to sleep without saying a word to Agnes, which leaves her feeling heartbroken again. She wonders, "What can I do to make my husband take interest in me?" She walks to an old room behind the house where she had built a small shack, a kind of prayer space. She prays to God. Then a butterfly lands on her face. Agnes feels happy, thinking of it as a sign of hope. The next morning she wakes up early and heads to the pond, hoping to catch fish before anyone else arrives. But unfortunately, she isn't able to catch even a single one. Instead, she ends up getting stuck in the mud and can't free herself. That's when Wolf arrives with his workers. Seeing Agnes in that condition, he becomes concerned and says, "You shouldn't have come here. This mud is very dangerous. Many people have drowned here." Agnes replies, "I'm just punishing myself for not cooking yesterday." Wolf quickly pulls her out so that the fish don't get scared away. Later that night, someone knocks on Wolf's door and tells him something terrible has happened to his friend. He rushes out right away. Meanwhile, Agnes hears a woman screaming in the neighborhood, which frightens her. She grabs a light and walks over to the neighbor's house to see what's going on. When she gets there, she sees a crowd gathered outside Wolf's friend's house. Wolf's friend had hanged himself. Someone had come to collect the body while his mother was crying and begging them not to take him away. But no one listened. They placed his body onto a carriage and took it away. Seeing all this, Agnes gets very scared. She quickly comes back home and begins praying, asking to always be protected from all evil. The next day, the priest arrives. He says that Wolf's friend's body should not be buried because taking one's own life is a serious sin. In the beginning, the woman who threw her child from the waterfall had actually thrown her own baby, but she had confessed her crime. So although she still had to go to jail, she was almost forgiven. She was also forgiven because she suffered a painful death. Since she confessed, her soul will go to heaven. But Wolf's friend committed a grave sin by ending his own life, so his soul is lost and will definitely go to hell. After coming out of the church, Agnes sees that Wolf's friend's body has been dumped in the garbage, along with the bodies of other criminals, left there to rot. The next day, while Agnes was working in the fields, she started experiencing a female health problem. The poor girl began crying in despair because she had prayed to become a mother. In the afternoon, while Agnes was handing out bread, her pregnant friend said, "Please give me one more. I'm eating for two, for myself and my unborn child." But because Wolf's mother was there, Agnes had to say no. To make things worse, her mother-in-law said, "Don't worry about feeding her. She should be grateful she's even allowed to work here." Hearing this made Agnes feel terrible. She was full of anger. On the way home, she began hurting herself with thorny plants. Still not feeling satisfied, she started scratching her tongue with a thorny branch to cause herself more pain. This led to a lot of bleeding, and the scene was deeply heartbreaking. After doing this, she lay down next to the headless woman's body that was placed there and rested for a while. At night, when Agnes didn't return home, Wolf's mother complained to him, saying, Look, your wife still hasn't come home. I'm really worried about that girl. She never comes home on time, doesn't cook properly, and doesn't do any of the work right. Neither does she take care of you, nor is she having a child." Hearing this, Wolf says, "Mom, calm down. Just give Agnes some more time. She'll do everything." His mother replies, "You made a mistake too. You should have married a girl from this village, someone who would take care of the house and give birth to your children." But they didn't know that Agnes was standing outside, overhearing everything. Her eyes filled with tears. She thought to herself, "How can I tell Wolf's mother that it wasn't my fault? It was her son's." Instead of going home, she walks toward the body of the same headless woman. To calm her mind, she spends the entire night singing songs for her. The next morning, instead of going back to Wolf's house, she heads to her childhood home. Through the window, she sees her mother and brother peacefully eating breakfast. After a while, her brother comes out to the stable, where he finds Agnes asleep. Her mother follows. Agnes tells them, "I can't live in my husband's house. I feel scared there." Her mother replies, "Sweetheart, that's your home now. I can't keep you here with me. But whenever you're in trouble or upset, I'll come see you right away." So Agnes sits outside the house, heartbroken. Later that afternoon, Wolf comes. He asks Agnes to come back home with him. When she refuses, he and her brother forcefully pick her up and take her back to his house. Agnes refuses to do any housework. From her expression, it seemed like she was broken inside. She either sleeps all day or spends her time praying. Her mother-in-law angrily says, "Stop this drama and pull yourself together." But Agnes, who had lost all hope of living, says nothing. Wolf's mother starts changing Agnes's clothes so she can take her to the doctor. But in frustration, Agnes snatches the clothes and puts them on herself. After the checkup, she begins walking home alone. That's when she comes across a strange, little child on the road. Seeing him, she became very happy. She immediately picked him up in her arms. She thought, "My prayers have been answered. This is a gift from God." She brought him home. But Wolf's mother became furious. She said, "You need to return this child to wherever you found her. Her parents are probably looking for her." The poor girl had no choice but to agree. So she left the child there, believing that the parents would definitely come for her. After returning home, she prayed a lot for the child. As night fell, Wolf was busy partying and drinking with the villagers. He didn't care at all about his wife, who lay in bed consumed by depression. Once again, she took out the severed finger, licked the blood, and began praying to God. After a while, she started trembling and collapsed, getting injured in the process. She began having strange thoughts that didn't seem real. Then, as soon as she closed her eyes, she had a vision. She dug into the soil and found her own dead body buried there. That's when she realized, "I've been buried." Then suddenly, her eyes opened. She saw Wolf standing there, holding her by the throat. He was fed up and didn't know what to do with Agnes anymore. Controlling his anger, he walked out of the room. After a long time, he returned. Seeing Agnes's condition, he thought she needed to see a doctor again. But Agnes told him there was no need, saying, "My time has come. Just call the priest so I can confess my sins." Hearing this, Wolf became very upset and rushed out. After some time, he came back and told Agnes, "The priest isn't home. We'll have to wait until tomorrow." Agnes grew anxious, worried she might die without confessing her sins, and that her soul would go to hell. She told him the truth. She had consumed rat poison. Wolf panicked and forced her to spit it out. Luckily, he managed to save her just in time. A little later, Wolf's mother arrived. She saw that Agnes was still alive but very weak, so she helped dress her, and Wolf carried her to her mother's house. He tells Agnes's mother, his mother-in-law, that she has consumed rat poison and that he believes she is possessed by some kind of demon. He says he thinks it's best for her to stay there. She should live peacefully at her mother's home instead of being forced to stay in his house. After that, he says goodbye to his wife and leaves. The next morning, we see that Agnes is feeling better than before and begins cleaning her room. Then she gets ready, says goodbye to her family, and leaves the house. She heads into the forest where she sees a group of children playing. She asks one of them, "Can you tell me about the shrine around here? I'll give you some money." The child agrees, and when they both arrive at the shrine, Agnes tells him to pray with her. The child agrees, and they go inside and begin praying together. But suddenly, Agnes stabs the boy in the neck, injuring him badly and knocking him to the ground. She grabs hold of him. The boy pleads, "Please don't kill me." But she stabs him multiple times and kills him. Then looking at his dead body, she says, "Now you won't commit any crimes. You are just a child. So become an angel in the eyes of God." Then she goes to the church. The next day she talks about wanting to meet the priest. That night she cuts her hair, and the following day she begins confessing all her sins to the priest. She says, "First of all, I couldn't make my husband happy. Then I had bad thoughts about my mother-in-law. I couldn't take care of the animals in the stable and cause problems for others by not doing my duties properly. I tried really hard to be a good wife, but I failed. I even ate rat poison, thinking no one could help me." She continues, "Besides all that, I committed another terrible sin. I killed a child. I did it thinking that maybe he wouldn't grow up to commit crimes, and maybe my soul would find peace." While saying all this, Agnes is crying, and she now pleads to God, "Please don't send me to hell. I'm asking for forgiveness. Please accept it." After hearing everything, the priest decides to absolve her sins. He tells Agnes, "God has forgiven you." Hearing this, Agnes feels a huge sense of relief. She starts laughing and crying at the same time, as if a huge burden had been lifted from her heart. The next day, people started posting pictures of her crimes on trees, just like they used to do before. Agnes is then dressed in animal skin and paraded around the village on a cart. Eventually, he is brought to the place where he is to be executed. He's made to sit on a chair, and a mask is placed over his face. Wolf is among the crowd, looking deeply saddened. He's crying. As Agnes begins to sing a slow, soothing song, he confesses everything, and then his head is cut off. Suddenly, the mood of the crowd changes. They all begin to cheer and feel joyful. The blood flowing from Agnes's neck is collected in a bucket, and people begin paying money to fill their cups and glasses with it so they can drink it. They believe that since Agnes confessed his sins and his prayers for forgiveness were accepted, his blood is now pure and sacred. Drinking it will bring happiness and good fortune into their lives. The villagers begin dancing in celebration, while Agnes's head is hung from a tree. And with the end of Agnes's story, the story ends here. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching.